March 17th special board meeting of trustees to order. Are there any revisions to the agenda? And I have a. I would like to add. Just an update on the superintendent hiring process. As a discussion item, I guess we'd add it as C.
Yeah, I mean, you could add it wherever, but yeah, probably C, you know.
C is best.
Yeah, that way you don't hold up.
Okay. We'll add it as C, as an update. Okay, public comment. This item is the appropriate place to make comments about an item not on the agenda, but within the board's jurisdiction. Each action item on the agenda has its own public comment period. In order to protect individual rights of privacy, avoid comments that identify students or staff members. Additionally, public comment cannot be used to make comments regarding contested cases, grievances, or legal proceedings. Is there any public comment this evening? Okay. So we will move on to our discussion and action items, which is A, which is the WHS expansion construction committee. With Luke Hammond.
Twice in 1 month.
Yeah.
It's good to see everybody again. Yeah.
That's
So we talked a little bit last time about the status of the project. And how we are ready to do our third amendment to Martel's contract to get the project kicked off. So the purpose of this meeting, which thank you, by the way, for adjusting and having a special meeting. I know there's other items, but this is a big component of this meeting. Is to kick off construction next week. So March 23rd, spring break. Martel is planning on mobilizing on site and kicking off the much anticipated projects at the high school. So as part of that process, we've had just to recap, we've had two exhibits, amendments to Martel's contract to date. The first one was for the grandstands on the athletic side, and the second was for the stadium lighting. This one today is the third amendment, and it is a large bulk of the remainder of the project, but not all of the remainder of the project. So I think you guys all have three attachments. The first is the actual contractual amendment to Martel's contract, and the second is Exhibit 3.1, which outlines exactly what's in this amendment. The third is the contract documents that are associated with the project. And so the amounts to go over today, if the clearest way to understand the amounts for today is in that second attachment, the Exhibit 3.1. And if you looked at pages 2 and 3, those are going to outline the two phases that we're working on. So the academic side and the athletic side are broken into two phases that we're calling them for financial purposes. And the first, so page number 2 is going to be the academic side. And the total that we are looking to add to Martel's contract in this amendment is $14,593,953. And the second portion of this amendment is for the athletics phase, which is $3,072,973. And so the total of those two would be this amendment number 3. And that would be in addition to the previous two amendments. And we're anticipating one additional amendment, which we would call amendment number 4, which would culminate with the remainder of the project. These scopes today are the ones that we've bid out, and we feel confident that we are ready to move forward to Martel is ready to scope and contract with the subcontractors. The other ones that are not part of this that will be ready within the next month, probably the next board meeting and next month's typical monthly board meeting, are those that are just still being worked through. The cost is in a good place. It's just finalizing scope and the contract portions of those for subcontractors. So the total amendment between both sides today that we're looking to get approved is $17,666,926. So that is the high level overview of this amendment. Does anybody have any questions?
Any public comment on this? item. So back to the board for further discussion. Or
Actually, I do have a question, maybe more of a comment. So, and I think this is the appropriate time. I was in the meeting, I've been in the meetings, that the group has got when they gone over the various bids, et cetera, and you made a statement, which was not necessarily true, but it wasn't a lie. Earlier, when somebody asked about were there any items that were no bid, and there were a couple that were no bid. Can you just explain what those?
Yes, so in the last meeting you're referring to?
Yeah.
Yep, so there was a question if there were any that were single bids, and at the time I wasn't aware, there was a framing component that was a single bid, and it's a Martel scoped bid. There aren't, there was not a new, it wasn't a surprise, it was anticipated that there would only be one bid for the framing components on this project, just given the nature of the framing aspect. It's a unique framing job, and so there aren't a lot of subcontractors in the region that will bid this type of job. So it's a self-performed Martel scope to perform the framing of the project.
Thank you, I just want to make sure.
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you for clarifying that.
discussion or motion. I move we approve as presented. Second. Moved by Katie and seconded by Quincy, all in favor?
Thank you guys very much. We're very excited to get started out there.
So we'll move on to B, personnel recommendations for hire with Mr. Meads. Question. Yes.
Will we have any minutes of the meeting?
Yeah, Lucy is on mine.
Oh, okay,
Susan.
okay.
Yeah. All right, yeah.
Thank you. Bye.
Yeah, so personal recommendations for hire, we have recommendations for hire in front of you. We have, this high school tennis coach. And see the applicants there, for the number of applicants, and recommendation for hire is Allison Jones. For the HS assistant track coach, number of applicants there, and recommendation for hire, a Connolly. Special education teacher resource. See the applicants there, and the recommendation for hire is Lisa Irwin. And then the WHS custodian, and the recommendation for hire Richard Peterson.
I'd like to move that we divide this action item into 4 individual items.
I'll second that.
So that is moved by Quincy and seconded by Shannon to make these 4 individual action items. So we'll call them like B1, or is that how we? Does it even matter?
Yeah.
Okay. So, are there any clarifying questions on the first action item?
Do you have to approve that motion?
Yeah, you have to prove that.
Oh, we have to vote on that,
Yeah.
okay,
Public.
okay, yeah, okay, so on the motion of separating the 4, is there any public comment on that? Back to the board for further discussion and questions.
I think we approve. Any other reason? I mean, any reason for it?
To.
Doesn't have to be, it's non-debatable.
Okay, so that you said.
Yes,
Okay,
I approve.
so Katie moves, we approve. Is there a second to that?
We don't need to.
You don't need to,
We have.
we have the motion, so we move to
You
approve,
need-
okay, just, okay, all in favor. Okay.
Now they become 4.
Okay, so first we'll do first action item. Are there any clarifying questions on that item? Or any public comment on the first action item? All right, back to the board for further discussion or a motion.
I'll move we approve. I'll second it.
Okay, that is moved by Katie and seconded by Jerry. All those in favor? Okay, we'll move on to the second. And is there any clarifying questions on this action item? And any public comment on the second action item? And maybe we could, I don't know if can we put it up on the screen? That way they can see where we're at.
Okay.
Is there any public comment on the second coaching position on this? Okay, back to the board for a motion or further discussion.
Where would we talk about HR and hiring practices?
Not here.
Not this. So is there a motion on the second hiring position here?
I move we approve.
Okay, that's moved by Rainey. Is there a second on that? Okay. So with no second, that agenda item dies essentially. So we'll move on to the third, the special education teacher. Are there any clarifying questions on that item? Is there any public comments on that item? Back to the board for a discussion or a motion.
Make a motion that we approve that item.
Second.
Okay, that is moved by Shannon and seconded by, is it Jerry?
Yeah, right here.
Okay. All those in favor? And the last is the custodian position. Are there any clarifying questions on that item? Is there any public comment on that item? Get back to the board for further discussion or a motion.
I will also move that we approve that item.
Second.
Okay, moved by Shannon, seconded by Katie, all in favor? Okay. So now we will move on to the additional agenda item, which is C, which is the update on the superintendent hiring process. And this is just a discussion item, and I wrote it down so I forget anything. So on behalf of the Board of Trustees, I am announcing the discontinuation of our current superintendent search following a failed negotiation with our selected finalist, Dr. Jenny Fee. A breakdown attributed to the candidate's failure to disclose salary and benefit expectations despite clear communication from the district. Throughout an extensive search process, the Whitefish School District was fully transparent regarding our compensation parameters and made multiple good faith attempts to establish mutual expectations early. Dr. Jenny Fee failed to engage in meaningful and decisive compensation conversations until after a formal offer was extended, at which point the candidate's expectations proved incompatible with the district's approved compensation package. The district extended a great deal of time and effort into this process, and the outcome is very disappointing. At this time, the Board of Trustees will meet at a future date to discuss an option of an interim superintendent for the 26-27 school year. Right, and we will now move on to C, which is the RMT school bus route contract with Mr. Branson.
So you have received, good evening, everybody. So the recommendation of the pupil transportation contract, in other words, the yellow buses or the school buses, is in front of you. There's a red line copy and then the final copy. Well, we have our standard updates from our legal counsel, and those updates include some legislative updates that have come to us, some FERPA updates and clarifications within the contract. Updated route information reflecting the changes. I was gonna look up the date that we made the changes, but I want to say August of this school year, we came and consolidated some routes. So it looked like a lot of red line on there. I was like, what is going on? That's the reasoning behind those. And finally, a compensation of an 8% inflationary increase to transportation costs. This is a standard format for pupil transportation contracts across the state of Montana. And so there it is for your consumption and recommendations.
Oh, where it said 48%. Sure. That was
That's the H I take it.
Yes, I think the underline 8 is the what in the red line copy. Is that what you're looking at?
48.
Yeah, the clean copy of it.
Yeah.
Oh, we have one? Or-
It's
There's a clean
like,
copy.
it's right here.
Oh.
Although it is still got some high. Not clear.
Oh. Yeah, because it was the first trying to see the second one, 48% will die.
Yeah, we will not approve it for you. Just like, yeah.
Are there any clarifying questions or thoughts? Is there any public comment on this item? Back to the board for further discussion or a motion.
I was doing a lot of work.
Yeah.
All that shifting, I move we approve as presented.
I'll second that.
That is moved by Katie and seconded by Jerry. All those in favor? Okay. And that is moving on to the city. One more motion. Okay. Second, that is moved by Quincy and seconded by Katie. All those in favor? Yeah. Thank you.